What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to transform this photo into this. Now my goal here is to really just give y'all the real raw insight behind photo retouching. So if you're a beginner, if you're new, I'm going to show you my entire step so that you can stop struggling with your editing, so that you can really bring the most value to your clients with your editing and with your skills. The very first thing that I like to do on my photos always is just control and fix the lighting. So the exposure is very high, so let's just drop this down, and if we zoom in here, we can actually see a lot more of those details compared to before, where everything just looked very flat because of the bright light, compared like now where you can really see those details and the textures a little bit better. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, raise the shadows here, or no, let's take them down. All right, and then I'm going to go down here to clarity. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to raise the clarity just a bit, and you'll notice how what that does is it actually sharpens her, it deepens those shadows, and it raises the highlights. All right, so I mean, you can be a little selective with this, because with this photo we can give it like that really sharp edge effect, or we can drop this down and give it like that dreamy effect. You know, I mean, obviously that plays a part in your style and what you want to do with your photo, but I'm actually going to raise mine's up to about 6% just to make her a little bit more sharper. Then I'm going to go down here to details. I'm going to raise the details up a little bit, as well as the radius, and it's just make the details on her face obviously a lot more sharper. Removing any chromatic aberration, distortion. You can keep this how it is, about 100. We're gonna crop the photo to 4.5. And if you're ever creating a project, you always want to make sure that your photos are on 4.4x5 or 16:9. 4x5 is Instagram's portrait dimension, and 16:9 is Instagram's landscape dimension. So we're gonna do 4x5. Resize this down, click OK, and it's gonna upload to Photoshop. All right, so if you're a returning viewer, you guys know my editing process. I always like to just have the raw photo in the file as well, because it just kind of gives me, I can just go back and forth through the raw file and the photo that I'm working on, just to kind of see, you know, the progress that I've made. This is what the photo looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. We're already looking pretty good, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a lot better. So just organizing through these layers, I'm going to name this one frequency 1. Frequency 1 is basically just the colors layer. So I'll actually rename these videos. So / colors layer, and then I'm gonna duplicate this and name this one frequency 2, and then details layer. We can hide this one for now. Go to color, frequency 1, go to blur, Gaussian blur. You just want to blur this and just enough until those details start to disappear. Now, I've had so many people ask me, Demir, like, why do you only blur it until the details start to disappear? And the reason why you want to do that is because if you have it where it's so high, it's harder for you to like really see the details and the lines in the face, like the bridge of the nose here and then the eyes. Like, it's hard to see those lines. So just by having it like 2% is just enough. So we're going to click OK, and it allows us to, when we go and use the mixer brush tool and start smoothing the skin, it's going to really allow us to really see what we're working on. You get what I'm saying? So from here, we can unhide the frequency 2 or the details layer and go up here to image, apply image. If you click on apply image and it's grayed out, that means you just have to rasterize the image first. So now, because now you see, we can click on that now. So you just want to make sure the layer is on frequency 1, clip to that layer, make sure the blending mode is on add, make sure it's inverted. You want to make sure the opacity is at 100% and the scale is on 2. Click OK. Down here where it says normal, these are the blending options, and we're going to change that to linear light. And if you did everything correctly, it's going to bring it back to its original form. So in between these two layers, what I'm going to do is add an empty layer, and then I'm going to clip this to the bottom layer by right clicking and then going to create clipping mask, and then I'm going to name this shadows. All right, so we're going to use this layer later. For now, let's hold Alt and then click on that eyeball. So when you hold Alt and then click on that eye, it just hides all of the other layers that surrounds the layer that you're trying to hide. So hide all of those other layers. And then on the mixer brush tool, you want to make sure that you have all of these settings copied, so you can pause this video and then copy these settings. Make sure that sample all layers is selected. And then I'm just going to go through and start smoothing certain areas. Okay. And you're going to notice that when I'm doing this, I'm not necessarily like bleeding the highlights into the shadows, because you can see like right here how that's just like wrong. That's not right. We don't want that, right? So what I'm doing is wherever the highlights are, I'm basically just kind of staying in that general area, and wherever the shadows are, I'm basically just going over that area. And then where the highlights and the shadows meet, I'm basically just like going over that and blending them together. You get what I'm saying? So that it just kind of matches with the skin tone and it just blends a lot better. And you're gonna notice how like I'm increasing the size of my brush and then lowering it in certain areas just so that I can really get that accuracy and that preciseness, you know what I mean? So this is what it's looking like before and after. Wow. So you see how like much more cleaner this actually looks. What I'm gonna do now is on the details layer, I'm basically just gonna use the clone stamp tool. You see all of these like little marks, blemishes, and all of this other good stuff. What I'm gonna do is just copy from this clean area and then just go over certain details that we need to clean up. So any like really textured areas, anything that really just sticks out that does not look good, I'm just gonna go over that and remove everything. Even with the eyebrows, like getting hairs from under with the eyebrow, basically just copy and cleaning everything. All right, so you're gonna see also these aging lines. I usually get rid of those as well, just because it makes the photo look more cleaner and professional. I don't know if I should actually, let me see. This hard. See, sometimes like this is kind of like hard, man. Like I just don't be knowing. We're gonna leave those. We're gonna leave those. But yeah, just going through, removing anything that we don't want. Now I told y'all we were gonna work on the shadows later, so now it's later. And essentially what I'm gonna do is, on the shadows layer, I'm gonna go up here to flow, and I'm gonna drop this to 5%. Because if I have it on 100%, what this is gonna do is it's gonna just really create these hard white lines. So I'm gonna drop it down to 5, and you see how like that's much softer, right? So because we have this under the details layer, so you see these lashes right here, because we have this shadows layer under the details, the color is basically just gonna go under. So I'm just gonna copy a color here and then just go over this hard shadow line. And you're gonna notice how it's not really affecting the details. It's kind of just like going under it, if that makes sense. So I'm basically just copying the color here and removing these shadows. All right, so this is what that's looking like before and after. We can go ahead and move on to the next step. So usually what I like to do on my photo is just so that I can have these, these layers just to go back to if I ever need to. So I'm gonna hold shift, grab the top layer, and then the bottom layer. It's gonna allow me to grab all 3 of these, or I can hold control and then click on each individual one. And then I'm gonna hold control C, control V, and then merge these layers together, and then hold shift and grab all of those layers again, and then G, and then group those. And then I'm gonna name this frequency separation. And I have this just because, if I ever need to go back and fix anything, I have those layers there, right? So I'm gonna name this subject for now. And I'm actually gonna like zoom in. You see like this little like dip or divot in her neck, probably just because she's like, has her neck bending down. I'm basically just gonna make a selection around that using the lasso tool, and then right click, go to generative fill, and it's just gonna remove that. So from here, what I'm gonna wanna do is, you see how her eyebrows are very light, right? So we can actually go through Google, and I actually have a picture right here that I'm gonna use. So now you're gonna notice how this picture was uploaded as a PNG. We still have that like PNG background. So in order to remove that, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go to the blending options here, and then just change it to multiply, and you see it kind of like creates this like transparency, but we still have those, like squares on the photo. In order to remove that, literally, it doesn't have to always be anything creative or like all crazy. Grab the eraser tool and just go around the photo with the eyebrow and just erase all of that. Some people are probably just gonna drag you through like 15 different steps to really just get that to be perfect, but I'm simple. I'm simple. I like to do it easy, whatever works, you know what I'm saying? So just kind of drop this down so that it meets, the same size as her actual eyebrow. Now we're gonna have to like really make it match and fit. So I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna go to warp. okay? And then I'm basically just gonna grab all of these different points and then move them to where I feel like they need to be so that it matches her natural brow pattern. And once we kind of really get it to how we want it to look, I'm basically just gonna click OK, and then I'm just gonna go through and then clean up the eyebrow more than what it already is. All right, now you're gonna see how this one is darker than the other one. It's all good. Literally just drop the opacity down on it a little bit so that it matches a little better. Now what I'm gonna wanna do is I'm gonna add 2 curve layers, and I'm gonna show you guys how to dodge and burn here. So what you're gonna wanna do is grab 2 curve layers. One point you're gonna drag up and then Control I to invert it. The next one you're gonna drag down, Control I, and then invert it. Let's group these 2 together. And then on one layer, we're gonna name this dodge. So the one that you grabbed up, this one is gonna be, this one is the highlights layer, the one that we dragged all the way up. Name it dodge. And then the bottom one that we dragged all the way down, let's name it B for burn. All right, essentially just grab your brush tool, change the flow all the way back to 100%, and just go through and add highlights where you feel like they belong. All right, so I get a lot of people asking me, Demir, how do you know really where to add the highlights? Already where the highlights already are. Basically, we're just brightening those up a little bit, okay? So there's highlights here, there's highlights here. Girls, when they do their makeup, they usually add some here on their cheeks, some on their chin, and then probably some down here on like that jawline, all right? And then the same thing for the burn. So you got some here on the forehead, probably some here on the cheekbone, some here, probably some down here on the jawline as well, and then some on the bridge of the nose here, okay? And then essentially you're gonna grab this little masking thing with the circle, the empty circle in the middle, and basically just turn the feather up until it gets blended in with her face, all right? Now for the whites here, what I'm gonna do actually is just change this to soft light. And the reason why is because it matches a lot better with soft light compared to like normal, where those whites are just like very bright. So by changing it to soft light and then blending this up, it looks very nice, okay? Now you're probably not gonna see too much of a different change, but when I hide it, you're gonna really notice, right? Now, what I'm gonna do is add one more curves layer, but I'm actually going to drag this point down a bit, drag the highlights point down. I'm gonna bring the fade up, the blacks up, bring the contrast down, and just play with these settings until I really get it to look how I want it to look. And sometimes you're gonna play with it and you're gonna change and rechange and change it with something that's working, and then change it to something that's not working, and then change it back to something that you feel like is right. But yeah, that's really the game of it, you know? Just keep experimenting until you figure out what works. But I wanna add more glow to her eyes, so I'm gonna add an empty layer here. And then I'm gonna go to the brush tool, make sure the flow is on 100%. And then I wanna change my color picker down here to white, okay? And you wanna make sure up here, you wanna change your brush to the soft round brush, okay? So now that you have that, literally just create a dot on her eye and then change it to overlay. And it just makes her eyes glow a little bit more. Nothing too crazy, nothing like that. All right, so now you're gonna notice how we got this little square here in her eye. So like we got that little glow. So in order to add more of that, grab the lasso tool and then just create this entire selection around her eye. It doesn't have to be anything perfect. And then I'm gonna right click, go to fill, whites, and then I'm gonna change this first to overlay. And I'm gonna double click on that layer. I'm gonna hold Alt and then grab this underlying point and then break this off and then slowly drag this up so that it like looks good on the photo. Around the, what is it, like the eye sclera, I'm just gonna remove that light, just using the eraser tool, just removing that light. Wow. So something like that. And so this side look a little off, so we can actually erase a little bit of that. Grabbing the clone stamp tool, just making this look as good as possible. Now you have it, man. This is what that photo looks like. If you enjoyed this transformation video and you want more videos like this, go ahead and engage with this video by liking, commenting, and sharing this with a friend, very important, and subscribing to this channel, right? If you subscribe, I can make more videos like this. If you want more information on just how to grow your social media, how to create powerful content that resonate well with audiences and that meets the market of your product, services, whatever, if you want to just be able to pull in more clients in your media business, whatever you're trying to do, just essentially just grow on social media, but you also just want to learn how to create professional and get professional results like this in your work, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram or head over to my website. The link is going to be in my bio. Leave your contact information for a free consultation and I will literally call you. I will just give you some free advice, but my masterclass is available for booking. So if you want to learn all of those things, I will help you, but I will also just be giving you some free advice. Why not? Right? So go ahead and DM me, call me, text me, leave your contact information on my website, whatever you want to do, but reach out to me and I will help you get exactly where you need to be. But I appreciate y'all for watching my video, man. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.